Oh my God!
In 2009, a teenager in Australia posted a flash cartoon on Newgrounds about a pink dinosaur and a dolphin trying to save video game worlds from exploding. It got 279,000 views. He made 3 more episodes over the following year, hit a file size limit trying to upload the 4th, announced a 5th, and then nothing. For 13 years, no studio picked it up. No revival was announced. The 4 episodes just sat on Newgrounds, rated 5 stars, slowly collecting views from the people who remembered and the occasional new viewer who stumbled across them. And then, on May 15, 2026, Glitch Productions dropped a full reboot pilot on YouTube, and the original fans absolutely lost their minds. This is the story of Gameoverse, where it came from, what it became, and why 13 years was apparently exactly long enough to make people realize how much they'd missed it. Who is RubberNinja? To understand Gameoverse, you have to understand Ross O'Donovan, because without Ross, none of this exists. Not the original series, not the reboot, not any of it. Ross is an Australian animator who grew up making flash content on Newgrounds under the alias RubberNinja, posting out of Melbourne in the late 2000s, when Newgrounds was still the center of gravity for independent web animation. He was genuinely prolific on the platform. Games, cartoons, collaborations. The kind of creator who treated Newgrounds as a full creative home, rather than just a place to dump finished work. He's probably best known today as one half of Game Grumps alongside Arin Hanson, the channel he joined in 2012, and which turned him into a fixture of YouTube's gaming community. But before Game Grumps, before any of that, when he was just a Newgrounds animator making flash cartoons and figuring it out as he went, there was Gameoverse. The original Gameoverse launched on Newgrounds on March 31, 2009. 4 episodes, released across 2009 and 2010. The premise was this. In the Gameoverse, every video game world has a hero and a villain. When the hero beats the villain, the game reaches its win condition, and the entire world self-destructs. A team of agents called the Farcade travels between game worlds to stop heroes from winning, because saving the villain is the only way to save everyone else. It's a genuinely clever inversion of the standard save the world setup. The villains are the ones who need protecting, the heroes are the existential threat, and the agents tasked with keeping the balance are not especially good at their jobs, which is where most of the comedy comes from. The series followed Gobbles, a magenta dinosaur, and the closest thing the show had to a protagonist, a cheerful dolphin, operating in blissful ignorance of everything going on around him. Ross voiced the whole thing himself, animated it in Flash, and posted each episode whenever it was finished. The numbers were solid for Newgrounds at the time. Episode 1 pulled 279,000 views. Episode 2 got 202,000. Episode 3, 203,000. Episode 4, 257,000. Not viral by any modern standard, but a real audience for a one-person flash series with no marketing budget and no platform infrastructure behind it. And then, in March 2010, Ross posted a news update on his Newgrounds page. The file for Gameoverse 4 was 12.5 megabytes. The default upload limit was 10. He was trying to get the limit raised, but it wasn't happening in time. He also mentioned, almost in passing, that Gameoverse 5 was still in very early stages. He'd have it done soon enough. He didn't. Ross moved on. The series sat on Newgrounds, finished at 4 episodes, and that was that, for a while. Ross joined Game Grumps in 2012. The channel exploded, and he became one of its most recognizable personalities over the following decade. Gameoverse became the kind of thing you'd only know about if you'd been genuinely deep in the Newgrounds community circa 2009. The kind of thing where your friend says, "Wait, you know Gameoverse?" And suddenly you both feel like you belong to some small specific club that most people didn't know existed. The 4 episodes just sat there, rated 5 stars, waiting. Meanwhile, Glitch Productions, the Australian studio behind the Amazing Digital Circus and Murder Drones, was building a track record as one of the most interesting independent animation outfits operating on YouTube. Their model was straightforward. Make a free pilot, build an audience around it, fund a full season through merchandise and community momentum. It worked extraordinarily well with Digital Circus. And at some point, someone at Glitch had a conversation with Ross O'Donovan about a 13-year-old Flash series that never got its 5th episode. In January 2026, Glitch announced Gameoverse as a full animated series reboot. Ross attached as creator, Erica Lindbeck voicing Kit, JSchlatt as Kaboodle, Chris Sabat in the cast, and Arin Hanson, Ross's Game Grumps co-host and the animator behind Newgrounds' own Ego Raptor series, voicing both Gobbles and Flappers. the Newgrounds connection running all the way through to the cast list. The pilot dropped May 15, 2026, on the Glitch Productions YouTube channel. Glitch's pinned comment read, "After 13 years, Gameoverse is finally here." 13 years is a long time to wait for a 5th episode. So what does the reboot actually do with the premise? The pilot opens on Kit, a Catgirl agent for the Farcade, running a routine recon mission with her partner Kaboodle, and a new addition to the team, Gobbles, a magenta Lernosaurus, who is essentially a walking educational tablet, and has no business being anywhere near an active mission. Kit is controlled and competent. Kaboodle is a menace, who cannot stop editorializing. Gobbles is nervous, and trying very hard to learn things. The chemistry between the three of them is established in about 90 seconds, and it works immediately. The mission goes wrong before it starts. A rival faction called the Syntax shows up. Kaboodle makes exactly the mistake Kit told him not to make, and the team ends up stranded on an underwater game world called Coral Reef City, trying to find Kaboodle, trying to figure out who the hero and villain of the world are, and trying very hard not to let the planet explode while they do it. The hero turns out to be Flappers, an extremely enthusiastic super dolphin who is genuinely the most helpful character in the pilot and absolutely cannot be allowed to win. The villain is a shark named Snappers, and the Syntax plant an agent disguised as a talking piece of paper, going by Mr. Paper, to secretly coach Flappers toward his win condition and destroy the world in the process. It's a lot of moving parts for a 30-minute pilot, and the show knows it. The pacing flies in some sections and drags slightly in others. The ending in particular is a little abrupt, and viewers coming in cold without knowledge of the original series will find themselves dropped into lore without much of a runway. Kit's backstory, the Farcade, the relationship between her and Kaboodle. The show trusts you to keep up, which is a reasonable bet for returning fans, and a steeper ask for everyone else. But here's what the pilot gets unambiguously right: the animation and the comedy. The Flappers scenes are consistently hilarious. The villain duo, Fold and Misinformation, hit exactly the right tone of incompetent but threatening, and the Kit-Kaboodle dynamic has genuine chemistry when it's allowed to breathe. The more contested element is the Gobbles arc. The show positions his journey across 30 minutes, from anxious newcomer to the one delivering the emotional center of the episode, as the pilot's emotional payoff. Some viewers find it earns that. Others find the confidence turn too abrupt, the build-up too thin. There's a beach scene where Gobbles talks Kit down from a spiral that either lands or doesn't, depending on how much the episode has made you care about both of them. That's a genuine split in the reaction, and it's worth being honest about. The animation is the uncontested standout. Expressive, dynamic, nothing stiff about it. Every character moves like they have weight and personality behind every gesture. For a pilot, it sets a high bar. The reaction has split in a way that tells you almost everything about what this show is and who it was made for. The top comment on the YouTube video, 35,000 likes, is just, "Raise your hand now to prove you're OG." The Newgrounds veterans showed up immediately, recognized the world they've been carrying in their heads for 13 years, and claimed the thing as loudly as possible. A second comment, 422 likes. "I love how every character has some kind of fleshed out personality and backstory, and there's just JSchlatt," which is accurate. The positive case is easy to make. The animation is genuinely exceptional. Expressive, dynamic, every character moving like they have weight and personality behind every gesture. The Kit and Kaboodle banter lands. The villains are funny in a way that is specific and earned, rather than generic. JSchlatt's read on Kaboodle is exactly what the role needs. And then there's the other case. The most upvoted critical comment on Reddit puts it this way: the character designs, animation, and choreography are stellar, genuinely top of their class. But the world building feels shallow, and the characters feel like they lack in personality and chemistry. Despite the stakes being literally entire worlds, the commenter's mind kept wandering in a way that none of the other glitch pilots caused. A separate thread makes a sharp structural point. If you removed the video game framing entirely, the premise would still mostly work. The video game hook doesn't feel load-bearing to the story, and several viewers flag Gobbles' sudden confidence arc at the end of the episode as unearned. The growth happens too fast, without the build-up to justify it. The people who are worried aren't saying the show is bad. They're saying the pilot hasn't yet proven the concept can sustain itself. And the people who loved it are mostly saying, yeah, but it's a pilot. Give it room. Both of those positions are reasonable. The 2026 pilot is being evaluated on an entirely different set of terms. It's a Glitch Productions production, which means it enters the conversation as a potential franchise. It has a professional voice cast and a merch store that launched the same day as the pilot. It's being positioned as a full franchise from day one, not a passion project, a product. That is an enormous amount of weight for any pilot to carry, and the criticism is landing accordingly. There are Reddit posts with people describing having been harassed into deleting their negative comments. One video essayist spent 40 minutes doing a structural breakdown of exactly where the writing fails. The redundant flashback in the first 15 minutes, the exposition-heavy setup, the missed opportunities in Gobbles' characterization. The counter-argument in the comments is that the baseline animation is perfectly fine, and having higher quality scenes during the budget showcase moments is industry standard. Solid 9 out of 10 show. That is not a conversation that ever happened in 2009 on Newgrounds. Nobody was doing 40-minute video essays about Gameoverse. The show existed in a completely different ecosystem, one where a 5-star rating from a few thousand people on a Flash animation platform was the whole ballgame. The pilot and the merch store launched the same day. The pinned comment points people toward funding a full season. This is the playbook exactly. And if the first wave of reaction is any indication, the OGs came back hard. The new viewers are curious. And the animation quality alone is enough to make people want more. The answer might be yes. Ross O'Donovan made 4 Flash cartoons on Newgrounds when he was a young animator in Melbourne, hit a file size limit, and quietly shelved the 5th episode. 13 years later, Glitch Productions put his characters in front of an audience that includes everyone who was there in 2009 and a lot of people who weren't, with a cast that includes Erica Lindbeck and JSchlatt and Arin Hanson, who voiced characters in the original series and is back here voicing both Gobbles and Flappers, because apparently some things just stay the same. Gameoverse is what happens when a creative idea doesn't die. The original series lived on Newgrounds, because that's where Flash animation lived, and when Flash died, and Newgrounds became a nostalgia destination rather than an active platform, the show went quiet. But the community that formed around it in 2009 and 2010 kept the memory alive long enough for someone with the resources to do something about it. 13 years is a long time, but it turns out the gap between a Flash file that's too big to upload and a full animated series backed by one of the most interesting independent studios in online animation is exactly 13 years, give or take. Go watch the pilot, and then go watch the original 4 episodes on Newgrounds. They're still up, still rated 5 stars, still waiting for more people to find them. This has been Lost Frames. Subscribe and like, and let's enjoy indie animation.